Hello everyone and welcome to Zenhaling ZStick moves. So what is Zenhaling? Well, Zenhaling combines the Zen essence, the yogic path, and the martial spirit. And it does that through breath, meditation, and movement. And in this video series, we're going to be concentrating on movement. And a lot of this movement is going to be familiar if you ever took a Tai Chi class or yoga or have done any type of mixed martial arts. As Zenhaling is highly influenced from Zen yoga and martial arts. And when we talk about martial arts in particular, Zenhaling is highly influenced from Bruce Lee and his disciplines and teachings from Jeet Kune Do, and also from the disciplines of Tai Chi and Aikido. And with Zenhaling movement, we're going to be using the ZStick. And with the ZStick, you can use the ZStick to walk, to stretch, or to strike. So knowing that that's at your option, and when we look at those different types of movement with walking, or stretching, or striking, we're talking about movements that can also be yin or also yang. And in this movement series, we're going to be going back and forth with some exercises that may appear yin and be yin, and some that are going to definitely be yang exercises and more forceful and more aggressive. And in doing this training, it's to stay here. So in yoga, we really honor ahimsa, which is nonviolence. And again, in Zenhaling training, we're advocating nonviolence. So this type of training is really to prepare you for the worst case scenario, or also just to instill more confidence. Just because you're not an athlete anymore or playing sports doesn't mean that you still can't take control of how you handle your body. Handle your body with confidence. It's an aggressive world out there, and sometimes we need to stand strong and stand firm in the storm and in that aggression. So we may have a boss that's coming at us and being ultra aggressive, or be out there and on the street and going to dinner and encounter an aggressive situation, and how we approach it, how we stay calm in the storm, and how we maybe, instead of meeting that aggression with aggression, how we maybe can take that and use that energy to avoid it, and actually, instead of meeting aggression with aggression, actually neutralize. So use some of the principles of knowing that if we wanted, we could pull it and be aggressive and handle it that way, but we choose not to. We choose to be courageous. We choose to use our training and keep it there. So anyway, that's a little bit about where Zenhaling training goes. So when you start seeing exercises in here that are aggressive and more of the yang nature, your tendency may be, I don't want to get into that training. Just try it, because a lot of these different techniques, even though they're yang in nature, they're there to dispel some of the anger, some of that internal frustration, that internal pressure that, it just may be a laughing exercise, that laughing will do the same thing to dispel any type of internal pressure, the same as a strike or screaming or yelling. These are all just a release. I want you to use what works for you. Take some of these training exercises and try them and see if it brings up anything. You may be going through some of these different exercises, and all of a sudden, some different thoughts start to come up, and you might be in a pose, and all of a sudden, you're gonna have a thought that comes up that's completely out of the blue, and I want you to notice those type of things. And this is what'll happen when we get into some of the, in yoga, when you go deep into yoga and you're deep in poses for long periods of time. And that's a little bit what happens with the ZStick and some of the ZStick moves. Using the ZStick is going to allow us to stay in the posture, stay in the pose for longer periods of time. So if I'm in a whip pose and I start to get fatigued, I can always use the stick to just maintain my posture and alignment and my balance, but also as an aid. So I don't have to come out of pose, but I can maybe stay in it and maybe start to stretch a different way and feel it in a different area of my physical body. So getting to know the stick, you know, if you take yoga or do Tai Chi, some of these moves are gonna look very similar. However, in these moves, we're using the ZStick. And again, the ZStick can just be a great training aid to instill some of the yin principles, even if it's a yang exercise. We may be doing it, and then after we're doing the exercise for a little bit, we start getting out of control, and by just having the opportunity to get back into a yin mode, we can then get back in under control. So just like off the mat and outside the dojo, we have situations where we start to feel like it's getting out of our grasp, out of our control. It's the same way with some of this training. We're going to be allowed to explore and discover where our boundaries, where our edges are, where our limits may be when these situations come up. So I invite you to use this training. These disciplines like Tai Chi and yoga and mixed martial arts, they all have some common things within them. And the common elements within them are staying present and using the breath to still the mind and to keep your composure in the moment. And they all use the principles of paying attention to your posture and alignment. And all of them, when you start to move, so if you're Tai Chi and you're the Tai Chi master or the yogic master, or doing some of the mixed martial arts work, when you start flowing in that, when you start flowing in these movements, that's when you start to talk about becoming a meditation in motion. So all of them, yoga, Tai Chi, mixed martial arts, dance, when you let go, when you use the breath in conjunction with the body moves, it becomes your own meditation in motion. So again, I invite you to explore that, learn the differences, embrace the yin and the yang of your personal self. We all have that aggressive and that passive side. We all have that male and female, that left and right brain, that yin and yang. So honor it, embrace it, and let's get started with some ZStick moves. Welcome to Zenhaling ZStick Moves, the basics.